months, we'll have another coming up, France and Germany, which Alistair is coordinating as we speak, sort of. And we had a great time, and I think we all have a lot of outcome of it. And I read about Oskar Lundgren's work, and I asked him if he would like to present for us what they've done so far. And I'm very happy to say that he's here now. So please, the stage is yours, Oskar.
Thank you. I answered yes before I realized that it was in English. so I let Google translate my speech, and out came a lot of English words, sometimes hard to pronounce, so bear with me.
We are very we have all levels of how we speak English and all kind of accents, so you are very welcome, and you can be very relaxed in this community.
That sounds great. Now it's the really scary part, if my slides are going to work. It doesn't seem that way. What do you see right now? Only a black picture, or?
Yes, black picture. Oh,
Yep.
now we see a woman.
So, welcome everybody to the small village of Äppelbo in Vansbro Municipality in the region of Dalarna in the middle of Sweden. Vansbro Municipality is the smallest one in the region with 6,800 inhabitants. But despite our small size, if you ask a random Swede if they know anything about Vansbro, surprisingly many do. And what they know is some celebrities in sports and music, and one of the largest outdoor swimming contests in the world, Vansbro Simningen. 10 to 15,000 people swim there every year. And then we get this, Vansbro. Yes, I know that place. We used to stop there to eat when we go to the mountains to ski. We are classic drive-through country, so to say. These are positive representatives and things for our municipalities that we are proud of, but my name is Oskar Lundgren. I have been the head of business development in Vansbro Municipality since 2006, around the same time as I took this picture of my mom and her sisters, my aunts. If I had back then asked them to tell a story about Vansbro Municipality, they probably have started to talk about those celebrities and all that. But then they have gone on to tell another story about this small municipality with bad economy, low school results, closures in the business sector, low health rates, shrinking population, and a general feeling that all the arrows were pointing in the wrong direction. This image was dominant for us who lived in the municipality, but also for others around us who had a little bit more knowledge about us. Our very unofficial slogan for the municipality is Vansbro fucking far from everything. We don't use that very often, but we use it internally when we think that no one from the regional or national level cares about us. We understood that this image was devastating for us as a municipality and that we needed to change it if we ever dared to dream of any positive development. When my aunt's children or grandchildren would call them to say that they were thinking about moving back to Vansbro, then their answer must not be, no, stay in Stockholm. They needed to be given a different story. I have wondered before this meeting today how many of you could relate to a small community in Dalarna and Sweden struggling to change the image of us among the residents and the people who live here. I come from a municipality, and for that matter, a region that's quite accustomed to scrolling to the bottom of any list to find us in rankings and comparison between regions and municipalities. What I heard from this project is that several of you here today can relate to our struggles. So one important thing is that there is not a single university diploma in marketing or communication involved in this. It's focus, trial and error over a long period of time, what matters. And for those of you who have an education or something in these topics, perhaps this all is just obvious, but we'll see. A few more important things. We had previously, back in the years, carried out a vision work for the municipality with a goal towards the year 2010, with high goals for population growth, which did not happen, and a municipality slogan for a short time that read, Vansbro, here it is, easy to live. Both of these have been a gold mine to dig out of for people on social media who is pissed off that the municipality is not doing something great at the time. So we didn't want to go back to that situation again. I'm not saying that it's not important to have to work on branding or vision, which might then result in a municipality slogan or a well-developed marketing campaign. But our experience is that it tends to fall short, and then that we tell them what we intend to do rather than them showing what we do. For the past 15 years, we have also had not had any budget to buy professional help in developing a market strategy or something like that. And that is also one of the reasons that we have succeeded. Even if we at the time wanted to buy some professional help, barely any money to even to place an ad in the local newspaper. We needed to get the population, companies, officials, politicians to help us spread the message. We saw that a lot of positive things were happening in the local business community, but also in the municipality organization, but no one was talking about this. And there we saw an opportunity to create a new, more positive story about us. With this, we thought, we started from a solution-focused approach where the basic idea is to reinforce what works and give confirmation to the individual to get them to do more of this. And then what doesn't work often follows along with it. At an individual level, it's quite easy to understand, but would it also work at the municipality level by having positive stories create more positive stories? That we did not know. We decided to take the positives, things that happened in a local business as a basis for a new story that shows a municipality that is developing in the right direction. More of this. 1,000 needle pricks instead of the big cohesive strategy. We let the many stories be a little bit ahead of where we are today instead of a vision or a slogan that is far ahead of where we are. In a small community, those who work with this storytelling or story as a tool become associated with the message. You could work a lot behind the scenes, but then you lose some tools in the toolbox. You have to commit yourself and feel comfortable in being the messenger for something that could backfire in the queue at the supermarket if something goes wrong, which is quite often it does. Recognition is also important. Not just 3 middle-aged men managers in the picture in front of the industry looking happy about their new investment. Rather a picture from the workshop where your neighbor, who happens to be a young woman, is smiling in front of the machine she is programming. And this is maybe my one of the biggest things I think, that we always in the communication create a consensus between me who delivers a message and the one who receives it, that we both understand that we are this small community, municipality with the big challenges. But despite this, and then you can brag all day long. We work with humor, self-distance, and ties to the point before. Fucking far from everything and all that. David against Goliath, a gold mine to dig out, like this small, weak municipality that, like the bumblebee, flies even though it shouldn't. We never come up with positive things out of the blue, but we highlight the positive rather than the negative. Others are so good to spreading the negative that we just adjust the picture a little bit. And ways that we spread the words. We visit the companies to find puzzle pieces for the story. Wow, how great that you are going to expand. Ask them to explain in detail the reason for this and how it's going to happen, provide a confirmation and take the story to spread. But also say, have you heard about this other company down the road from you that is going to expand? Damn, things are really happening in your village. Give them puzzle pieces so they can be the bearer of the good story. We have close ties with the local newspapers. I meet them from time to time to brainstorm of topics, things they can write about. I have heard from local reporters that now that they can measure what's interesting, news about the business world has been given more space, as readers like to read about positive news regarding local companies. The one to the left is an investment in a local industry, but not only businesses, but also other things that increases the attractiveness to live in our municipality. As an example, to the right here, the local library has 10 different book circles in the municipality, and here's an article about that. Both of them were tips from me. We also have publishes a magazine 4 times a year full with positive things about business, community, or issues related to development. It's mostly financed by advertising, but around 1,000 euros per issue in co-financing from the municipality, if I remember correctly. 16 to 24 pages. Twice a year we include a supplement about the local community, sports club and things like that, because it's such an important part of the attractiveness of a municipality that is too small to have activities in commercial form. Just in commercial form, maybe. And there in the right lower corner, you see Petra again from the article about book clubs, because that's how it is in small places. Social media. Feed the algorithms with posts that grab and hold the followers to get the information out to as many as possible. David versus Goliath, recognition, etc. Between these, then you can post more boring stuff. As part of feeding the algorithms, we have been working on making many films for a couple of years now. Films creates more interest. Mobile phone with a simple equipment in form of microphones and editing software. Not overwork, but keep it simple to get it done. Evolve by doing. This that you can see now, it's examples for this kind of short films. From 20 seconds up to, well, sometimes 40 minutes, depending on topic. I squeeze into all kinds of contexts and meetings to tell the story. Political meetings, associations, meetings with companies, but also in this case our southern municipality. Mostly regionally, so that we can be seen and take our place, and nowadays we are visible. A combination of positive developments in the business community and that we talk about it. I often help my colleagues in the municipality and politicians to make texts, PowerPoints and videos when they need to communicate something about the municipality. I think it's well worth the time as I get them to carry my message. But this is not rocket science, but we have worked persistently for almost 20 years on this. We have also been fortunate that the development in the business community has gone hand in hand with our story. In the last 10 years, jobs have increased by 400 in our small municipality. And the forecast says that another 600 jobs will be created over the next 5 years, just over 20% growth. And it is industry that continues to grow, plus trade. Read Lyko, a big beauty e-commerce company which originates and has a warehouse for the Nordic countries in our municipality. As you can see on the film right now, I'm outside talking of something like, and there you can see Lyko. We have almost no unemployment, and the big challenge will be the labor supply with the right skills. So nowadays, it's great that Vansbro Municipality has 3 investments above 5 million euros on the investment map for the region of Dalarna. It's really funny to see when some of the larger municipality doesn't have even one. So things are happening at us, and we have been seen. And I love it when just before Christmas we got a whole spread in Sweden's largest business newspaper with a topic about our largest company Lyko and how their growth impacts the whole community. But here's an important thing. Those latest slides, when I'm bragging and boasting about job development, large investment, and so on, I'm programmed that way that I have to tell you. I have to spread the message, so to say. But those slides almost interferes with my main message. Even before the growth in companies, we already have moved the image of us and how we see ourselves. It doesn't have to be that big. An industrial company that buys a new CNC machine, Birgitta's flower shop that moves to a larger place, small things, but a lot of them. Just put a lot of stories out there. So, have we managed to change the image of Vansbro Municipality? A bit difficult to measure this, but I have a couple of examples that I'm quite sure wouldn't not hold up in the scientific world, but anecdotal evidence is our thing. So here we go. We used to have articles like this at least once a year. The headline says, "Young people in Vansbro wonder, where are the jobs?" This is October 2011. And this was the last where young people were thinking about moving because they didn't think there were jobs in the municipality. The job market had taken a turn for the better several years before that, but the message hasn't gotten through to everyone. So that's one example. The Swedish Chamber of Commerce attitude survey on business climate can provide some indications. In the overall ranking, we have gone from one of the worst municipalities in Sweden in 2005 to close to the top nowadays. The public's attitudes toward entrepreneurship is perhaps the sub-question that most clearly shows whether we have succeeded in influencing attitudes towards the municipality's business sector. But most importantly, what does my mother and her sister, my aunt, say? So we are going to go back to the wedding where we started. I have interviewed them and asked them, and yes, they have changed their view on the municipality and their toolbox for talking about it. But as you can see, you can understand by looking at this picture later that night with my aunts and a couple of cousins, these ladies is not going to be convinced by a slick marketing campaign or two. This requires long-term engagement for them to build the story themselves through many pieces of puzzles that we are working hard to give them. So now Mom and I are going home in the Nordic summer night that is about to turn into morning. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Oskar. A very interesting, and I just wrote down a lot of things. And as you were pointing out ahead, we have a lot of similarities, of course. And before I let anybody else coming in and ask some questions, I'm just wondering, what is the next step? Or do you just continue the same way? Or do you have any thoughts on how you proceed from here? And I would also like, I think you said maybe 20 years, but like to know how long was this process, like from start to impact?
We had a large closure. Industrial company closed down in 2005, and then they started this organization that I work for. So it was a low point, this big closure. But then we could see quite soon that those who became unemployed got other jobs in other companies. So it didn't have that big impact on unemployment rates. But those other companies had the opportunity to grow. And then we could see it start happening, and it was 1 or 2 years. But before we got a change in people's attitude, I think it was roughly 5 years. And back to your question about what about now and forward, I have been quite focused on just this business climate and working with the companies, local companies. But we see now it's a broader picture. We have to do more. We have to work more with attractiveness if we are going to get people for all those jobs that's going to be created. So it's a little bit shift in focus. It's more broader focus than I have had before. And when I said my whole department is me and 125% colleague.
Okay, we actually have a guy here, Guillaume, in France, who is head of attractiveness as his job title, which I am very envy of. I think it's a great way of thinking. And I love, we are also thinking in the same direction as you. And I'm also very positive to see how you mix vad heter det, näringsliv and föreningsliv. Help me somebody. You know how we are also talking about that, how important the NGOs and the business and also like the book clubs, and how important all those are, and not just the businesses.
They're so linked together, and especially when you come from a small place, where in a larger place you can just pay for entertainment or whatever, but here the population is too small to do that, so it has to be NGO or what do you say? That's the social society or
civil society.
Civil society that provides that, and we have struggled through the years, and we're not there yet, but we are moving in the right direction to get people in the municipality to see that it's impossible for this small municipality, the organization, to be the bearer of all things, like some progress in the municipality. We have to involve everybody, businesses and föreningar and everything.
Yeah.
So we're not there yet, but and I also must say we totally certain that we have moved the view of ourselves and others around us, that we are this small municipality that's going in the right direction. But we have lots of issues. Our economy is really bad, so we struggle to make those investments that would make this good transformation a reality.
Please raise your hand and ask Oskar some questions while we have him here. Did you come to think anything connected to your own hubs when you listen to his work? Yes, Alistair?
Hi, I hope you can hear me. I did something innovative with Teams this morning. It's identifying my sound or something. But you hear me, good.
Yeah.
I love the presentation or the talk, especially how you made very specific references to those tools of your trade, like, you know, when we academics talk about the cooperative mindset. What does that mean? Well, when you go to a press meeting with a company, then you say, have you noticed that the company down the road is also wanting to expand, for example? And something very, very practical and how you do it. I also like that remark about that it's difficult to separate those telling the story or let's say telling the stories and creating, or I cannot remember exactly how you put it, but it's basically then people are associated with the story, and then you meet your neighbors in the supermarket. I've usually encountered the situation, especially in small rural areas, that tends also to concentrate, well, power or possibilities, because many people think like, okay, it's Oskar doing that, I don't have to do it. They don't get into a more proactive position. Do you have some strategies of how you can spread out that approach, the storytelling, avoiding to always be the same 2, 3, or 4 people who are doing it?
Through the years, we have tried, sometimes successful and sometimes not, to get others in the municipality organization to be the bearer of things, and often the mayor. We have some positive things that we have seen. Could you take this and run with it and go to the media and everything? But quite often it's down to 1 or 2 persons. I have a colleague who work with zoning and that stuff, and we have shook hands for 10 years ago and said to ourselves that now we have to be committed to this, and we have to be out there, and we have to tell the story, even if it's backfires sometimes. So we have taken that approach, but we also doesn't really much tell what we do in the municipality organization. We see the positive things that are happening in our society, and then we spread that word. And by being the bearer of that news, we get some positive things back to the municipality, to my organization. But the main focus always is this company who's going to invest, or this sports club that's doing this or that. So we tend to be the bearer more than we are making Facebook posts about that we are going on a conference. We in the organization, so we tend to be, maybe if you see it in the post, in the picture, in the newspaper, we are in the picture, but not the main focus.
Yeah.
You also said that if you go to a company and talk to them about their success, you also give them puzzle pieces about other successes, and so they can be the bearer of the good message. I think that was a very good tip that you gave us.
the most basic thing is when we think about a business leader in the morning having breakfast, scrolling through the local newspaper and Facebook, if he or she see positive articles about things around them, that they get a sense, a feeling that they're living in a society that's going in a positive direction. Our thinking is that when he or she comes to work, she will be more inclined to make bolder and more positive, do more positive things during the day, to make that investment decision or something like that. So that's the whole thing, to get the whole society, to get my aunts and to get the business leader to think a little bit more positive about our future, and therefore to do more positive by themselves. And then and it's those 1,000 needle pricks. Wear them down with positive things, but not this grand vision.
No, yeah.
That is too far ahead. That because they look around and see that isn't what this municipality is about. It sounds like dreams. So we don't talk about that. We are constantly pushing out positive stories, small positive stories.
Yes, you also said something about talk about what is happening, not what you intend to do, which is very simple and obvious, but we all very much tend to talk about what we intend to do. But I think that also was a very concrete, good tip coming from you.
That vision 2010, it comes back and haunts us now 15 years later.
Yeah.
As soon as there's something negative in the municipality, you can be sure that they in social media talk about Vision 2010 and how extremely stupid that was.
All right. Jens would like to ask you something.
Are you an organization for companies?
No, I'm part of the municipality organization. I used to be on the outside in a company co-owned by the municipality and local business organizations. But from 2020, we moved it inside to the normal municipality organization for quite a different many reasons. But we saw that the struggles we have in the future, it was better to be a part of that organization who works with zoning and building and everything like that. So we used to be outside, but financed to 100% from the municipality anyway. So it is not that big of a difference.
One question more: do you still have a school in your town for young people?
Yes, we have all the way up to not university, but up to that level.
Yeah.
And it's expensive to have a small school in a small but we also, as I said in the beginning, we have a quite long way to everything. So it's have been a struggle, but we keep as our small school with maybe 150 to 170 pupils.
So one last question from Arne, and then we will move on to Stenvad. But Arne, please.
Well, yeah, first of all, thank you very much for the interesting presentation. I would be curious to know if you started out with some sort of long-term strategy, like a 10 years plan, 5 years plan, in other words, some indicators in terms of what would I like to see or feel in 5 or 10 years' time? Because you mentioned at some point in your presentation that your work is very much based on trial and error and then adapting to changing realities and then moving along then. So is it even possible to combine what you do with having like a 10-year vision in your head at all?
For my job, my organization, we have measurements and goals to achieve, but those are mainly focused on this business commerce study of quite narrow down to business climate.
Mm-hmm.
Not in this storytelling general feeling of the population. We don't have anything good there, and it's also one thing that I saw early on that we were lacking in this department. So I just grabbed this question and took it and run. No one gave me this permission to do this or asked me to do this, and therefore no one has ever demanded me to show some numbers for it, and I don't know how to measure it as well. Yeah. So it's quite ad hoc, and we just go for it.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Well, great, Oskar. Very interesting. I'm so happy you could join us. I think we might get back to you because I think we have a lot of things in common. And thank you very much for now. And you are, of course, very happy, obliged to. You're very welcome to stay with us for the next presentation. But then, who will do the presentation? Adam, is it you?
It's me.
Yeah, it's Adam, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So
one last thing, it's
yes.
Okay for all of you, any one of you, to contact me because I want to learn from others as well. And I have to leave because I have another meeting. But could I watch the presentation for the next one later?
Yeah, we will send you the link to the recordings.
Thank you.
Well, we will definitely get back to you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so it's time for Søren to let us know about your work at Stenvad.
Is this working? Can you see?
Yes.
Yes, great. Well, first of all, thank you for a very interesting presentation, Oskar. I can surely relate to the socio-economical challenges you're speaking of. I work as an historian here at Stenvad Mosebrug, and in my work, I usually try to work by the creed of "don't tell it, show it." But that would be quite a strange heading for a storytelling presentation. So I've tried to change a bit to "don't speak about it, tell it." So I'll take you through some of our considerations when working with storytelling. Oh, okay. Yeah. As most of you probably know by now, Stenvad Mosebrug is a peat factory. Peat is a very humble product, dates back to 3,000 years. Our part of the story starts in the mid-1800s, and when the beginning of the industrialization of this field. And but in really starts at when Johannes Lacour, which is the man on the picture here, enters into the fray in 1880. His tale is a tale of a pioneer who quite literally started with just a shovel and a deed for a bog. Quite literally turning a natural resource into money. And this story of pioneering is also mirrored in the story of Stenvad, which is founded on a very stony and sandy piece of land along the new railroad in 1911. So this story of pioneering, of hardship and toil is shared both with the founder of Mosebrug and in the city or the town of Stenvad. And this picture of almost the American frontier is a picture we use and paint in when we use history in the work at Stenvad Mosebrug. And it's also in the story of him and the town that we find some of our core values. Some of these are thriftiness, adaptability, and industriousness. Yes. Lacour's story is a story of success. By his death in 1971, he was the owner of a company that spanned the whole globe, now today known as Pinstrup. We think this company's success should be another piece of Stenvad's story, a part of the common narrative, because in Denmark you can find parallels to this with the biggest international companies and their town of origin. You could take, of course, Lego in Billund, Danfoss in Nordby, or Grundfos in Bjerringbro. We think that the people of this area should take equal pride in Pinstrup, and that it should be part of our storytelling. Lacour was a very shrewd businessman. Peat as a fuel is a product for times of austerity, and it's very labor intensive. It's not a high status fuel, so times of economical hardship are the golden era for peat fuel. High demand and high unemployment means equals good prices and low wages. So this factory was built during First World War, and by that account also prosperous times for the peat industry. This cannot be said of the next decade. The Roaring '20s. It also meant several bankruptcies in the peat industry. So here we meet Lacour, and one thing he's very good at, shift and focuses. Instead of producing peat for fuel, he turned to soil enrichment. To transport these beddings for which we also produce beddings for farm animals, he had to produce some transport casing for it, and to do this he built a sawmill which produced sawdust, which he then again used for plywood, which became a big part of the company. The production of modern peat fuel required heavy machinery to press the peat into high density fuel, and when the demand for fuel was sinking, he started using the machines for multiple other uses. Instead of fuel pellets, he began pressing pellets for animal feed. He produced fertilizer by combining manure with peat and pressing it into small pellets. And this adaptability, which is one of our core values, meant that Pinstrup has survived until today as one of the few peat-based industry companies. Even today, they are trying to shift their focus because peat is nowadays is not a suitable product, both because it releases a lot of carbon dioxide, but also because the bog from which a dog are very highly valuable biodiverse areas. But because we need to relate not just to the head of the company, but to everybody working the bog. We have found a lot of small innovation, we call them everyday innovations, and this permeates the industry from the head, from the CEO down to the labor in the bog. This is an important point because we need to get people to relate if we are to succeed in our mission. Enter our rail moped. This is a simple object with important tail. To understand why it is important, you need to know a little bit about the layout of Stenvad Mosebrug. We have this narrow gauge railroad which, when the production was at its highest, started at Stenvad at the Mosebrug, of course, ran 5 kilometers into the bog of Fuglsø. There was a smith who was employed at the factory tending to the machinery, but it was also his responsibility to get the trains up and running if one of the locomotives broke down. When they did that, he had to get out to the bog, and as the only realistic, really suitable way to get there was by railroad. They needed to not only have the broken down locomotive standing still, they also needed to take one out of production to fetch him at the factory. This got the smith thinking. The company had established a telephone line so they could call him whenever one of the locomotives broke down. So he planned on building a bicycle that could run on the rails, but then his wife had other plans for him. She said, "You are the son of a very inventive man, and you are an auto mechanic by trade. You should construct something with a motor." And thus our rail moped was born. It is built from a leftover Puch moped. He has added a sidecar for balance and to get a toolbox on. And then off he could go whenever they called from the bog. We have a problem with one of the locomotives. He could get out there quite fast. His widow had told me that probably could run something about 80 kilometers an hour. I've been told by a former employee that it isn't advisable to do so. He warned me against it, and then he pulled down his shirt sleeve to show a big scar. He hit the only tree visible when he crashed the moped. So you can imagine him hurrying out into the bog. His toolbox on one side, as he didn't touch alcohol. He wouldn't have had any beer in the box, even though that might be a good idea because the people working there were doing piecework. So when the locomotive was standing still, they weren't making any money. So they were, of course, very anxious to get this machine up and running again. So perhaps he had some soft drinks or something so they could take a break and he could get a bit of peace for repairing the engine. When he had fixed the locomotive, he needed to get back to the factory. To do so, he had to turn the moped 180 degrees. And instead of troubling the workers who have already lost valuable time because of the breakdown of the locomotive, he instead fitted a jack into the middle of the construction. By cranking it down, he could turn the moped around on its own axis, and then heading the right way, hurried back at death-defying speed. So, what do we do with this story? What would we like to use this story of innovation, of hardship, and of adaptability for? We would like to convey a sense of pride in a successful local business, as I told you before. We would like to find relatable historical figures to tell the story of this area. We have this. We have a very close proximity in time. The people we are talking about are within living memory. It's someone's parents living. Someone who still lives. It was their parents or grandparents. So this is a young community with quite a straightforward story. So we would like to hone this story and to use it also as a mark of identification, not only for those born here, but also for people who move here. We have a lot of visible remains. I'm sitting in one right now. The old factory. We have the railway, of course. We have several buildings of industry in the small town as well. So it's also very relatable visibly to the town. And then the values and I spoke about, but also the skills are still present. We have an area with a lot of smiths in particular, a lot of invention, small, again, everyday inventions. When you go around, you can see people have fixed something quite ingenious and just one-off inventions throughout this area, which again for us is a sense could be used as an identity marker. Then we would like to create an ownership to this story, to the history, and to the shared values. We would like to people tell the story we tell to other people, that they connect with the story and connect with the values that we have found in all of the history of Stenvad. And this way, we would like to build a community by story. We would like to create a sense of community in this small area by inviting newcomers in, and by letting people with longer history here tell their story, and together create this strong sense of place. And then the big question is, can we, by doing that, help change a narrative of decline that we see in this rural area? Yes. Yeah, that was that's how we work with storytelling in Stenvad. I rushed a bit through it because I can see time is so.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, Søren, it was really lovely. A lot of us lovely, but it was interesting. And since a lot of us has been there, it's also very nice to get this more deeper presentation of it. Having seen the place, it's valuable. I was thinking also in the beginning how you were thinking about the new narrative linking into the future and today's struggles and needs. What is the next phase for this peat industry? It was really nice to see how how is it used now? The need now is what we need it now for is biodiversity and as a carbon sink, if I understand you correctly.
Yeah.
But also what are the everyday inventions today and adaptability today to connect it like that. And I think also it's very fascinating that it's a very compact story in time for development out of the needs from the outside and the world technology process. And now we have another knowledge and research, which means you need to go all back and compact again. So it's a very, I mean, it's a very visible graphic timeline you have. Yeah, it really got me thinking. So thank you very much for a very interesting presentation. And please raise your hand and any question to Søren or other Stenvad representations, or also connected or linked to our presentation ahead. It's open for questions or reactions. Well then, oh, Michael, great.
Yeah. Maybe a simple question, but probably difficult to answer, but is it working? This idea about changing the narrative of decline into something different or positive. I know we already talked a lot also when we were in Stenvad about this, how to combine these different narratives and also the target groups. I understand that it should be, of course, pretty easy for those who are already local or have been there for a couple of generations to relate to these stories. But what about the newcomers? Do they also believe that this can be part of their new identity in some way or another?
Yes, one thing I came away with from the visit at Stenvad was not to call it not identity but identification. Exactly, not to exclude newcomers. What I can see right now is working. Is our story? Is our storytelling? People are very interested in it and very surprised about it. So I think it will take time, but I do think that this begins with pride. Actually, I think it begins with believing in yourself as a community. Instead of breaking this constant tale of decline and of a lost golden age. And then I think that one very important thing is to find a new driver. The driver from the pioneer period was the railroad, and it's not there anymore. And it's, even if it was, it probably wouldn't be a driver for much more than tourism. But then tourism perhaps is the new driver. Perhaps it's tourism we need to adapt to reach out and catch the new opportunities, to have a new take on it, to use our innovativeness that way. I don't know, but a new driver is or perhaps several drivers is needed.
Thank you.
Yeah, Peter?
Yeah, I think you have started with the new driver, because I saw your announcement on LinkedIn where you and Nikki was so proud. You have been approved to run your little train.
Yes.
And I think that's a tourism thing. So you would probably start with driving small tours with tourists and kids, something like that.
Yeah, we most definitely will. The train has been running before, but we have run into some quite heavy demands from the government. So it's been quite a struggle. But that also, I would like to use that story as part of our narrative, actually, that we can overcome these new obstacles and get things up and running again. Yeah. So and that's a big icon for the locals, and to get the sound of the train going or out towards the park again is very important to several of the locals I've spoken to. So yeah, that's a big step for us as an institution anyway.
Yeah, and a lot of there's a lot of small video sequences or announcement on LinkedIn. That could be nice.
Yeah. that's Adam who has started that. So yeah, we are trying to not only LinkedIn, but we're also using several other platforms to announce our things. Yeah.
Sure.
Hey, yeah, thank you very much. I would just like you to do a thumb up or thumb down if you like this presentation today. And I would also like you all to send in suggestions if you would like anybody else to do a presentation talk from your country. We would really like to have more presentations about any topic connected to whatever we have been talking about, the working groups. And I think, Louise, would you like to say something? No, you just a thumb up. Yeah, great. So I wish you all a great Friday and a very lovely weekend.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
You too. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you soon. Bye. Cool. Charlotte or anyone
Yes?
there? I just had the thought.